and welcome to Nets 2013 Championship Dreams. I'm Sarah Kustak. Season 2 of the Nets' Brooklyn era is one of the most highly anticipated years in the history of the franchise. The club is coming off a campaign in which expectations were met as the Nets made the playoffs for the first time in 6 years. However, their postseason was cut short by the Chicago Bulls, who eliminated the Nets by winning Game 7 of their first-round series at Barclays Center. And it was a loss that lingered with members of the team all summer.
A team that went 49-33 during the regular season, able to get the home court advantage in the first round, but they're unable to take care of business in Game 7.
It was tough.
It was just very disappointing.
Everybody was pretty much hurt.
I hate to even talk about it.
Just disappointment.
It all comes down to one game, and that one game belongs to Chicago.
You know, we felt like after Game 6, going back to our building, it was our series. And, it just didn't happen that way.
Every guy on the team, 1 through 15, wished the season started right then the next day, because we knew we had unfinished business. We knew we were better than that, and we wanted to get back in the gym and prove that.
Nobody wanted our journey to end so soon. It was our first year together, and we had a good group of guys, and we had fun playing with one another, and we really thought we had a chance to go farther than what we did, but we just came up short.
The Bulls survive and advance, and the Nets come up short.
Just to see them celebrate on our court, it's kind of hurt. So this summer, just basically just sit, take a deep breath, sit back, just chill, relax, go vacation. Then after 4th of July, it's pretty much on and popping. And the whole focus is just, like we got to get back to that point.
Johnson with the run of the tie, he does at the buzzer. And we head to a second overtime.
We had fought so hard throughout the series, even to start with home court advantage. Then, it was taken away from us. Then we went back and took it. And, I just knew for sure after winning Game 6 that we would come home and definitely win in front of our home crowd.
Chicago, a tough, resilient squad, and the heart of Joakim Noah on display.
The way that they just came and kind of took the game from us, the way Joakim Noah played, and just, it's like they wanted it more than we did. Kind of like we expected to win this because we were at home, and I don't think you can ever think like that.
During the offseason, Brooklyn was determined to make major moves that would elevate its team even further. And the first order of business was to name a new head coach, who the Nets found in their iconic former point guard, Jason Kidd. Then they added some championship pedigree to their roster. When the Nets closed out their inaugural season in Brooklyn, management immediately sprung into action in search of a new head coach.
When it happened, you lose is disappointing. So my immediate thoughts were, where are we concerned? How do we get stronger? How do we get better in those areas? And a little bit was not to try to panic, because we did lose in a Game 7. We did lose at home, but it wasn't the end-all be-all because we had not been in the playoffs. So I wanted to take some time and get away from it a little bit and give us some thought on exactly what we wanted to do. And as you start looking, you're looking at players that potentially could be traded. And also have to think about the coach first, and that was the first priority. You got to have a leader. Bob Ferry's on my staff, who's been a GM, who's hired a lot of coaches, and he said that's the number one quality to have as a coach. They got to be able to lead. They got to be able to have 15 guys follow them, as well as a coaching staff. And so that's what I was looking for, and that's what I got from Jason. His leadership ability.
After a stellar 19-year NBA career as an All-Star, Jason Kidd is ready for his next challenge on the hardwood.
I think it's a great challenge. I've never looked at things in a pressure situation. I've always looked at, conquering that challenge. And this is a great challenge in front of me. One, learning how to be a coach. Two, putting my guys in a position to win. I've been in almost every seat along my journey as a player, so guys might not understand that or knew that. So that's something that, you know, hopefully will be to my benefit, that I can share with guys that, hey, I came off the bench, you know, I was a starter, and then I came, you know, I didn't play. So I understand I got less shots as I got older. And so just to understand that you can still bring something positive to the game.
Majority owner Mikhail Prokhorov making the trip in to greet Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Jason Terry, the three newest members of the Brooklyn Nets.
When I bought the team, my only goal was to win championship. And I promised just to win it within 5 years. So I have only 2 years left. So just in my global vision, I want to create the best franchise in the NBA. For that, we need great players. And I'm very happy that now, at last, from next season, we're a championship contender. That's for sure.
The new Nets trio expressed their excitement to be in Brooklyn with a chance to contend for an NBA title.
What's up, Brooklyn? Yeah.
You know, when you look at what they're trying to do here, win a championship, bring in the pieces necessary, new arena, new owners, new excitement, it really brings a little bit of excitement.
It's unfortunate that we had to obviously move from Boston, but I feel like both sides are going in different directions. For me, one of the major reasons I decided to come here was because the bones of this, adding, you know, what you see up here with the bones of what they have already with, you know, Brooke and Darren and all the pieces they have here. Joe, felt like Paul says, gives us the best option to win again and to win it all.
Very honored to be here, obviously with another opportunity to compete for a championship. You know, I've been in Atlanta, Dallas, Boston, and now to be able to call Brooklyn my home, again, I'm just very blessed and honored and ready.
Coming up, we take a trip down Tobacco Road for Nets training camp at Duke, and a product of the school shows us around. Nets GM Billy King.
Ingredients
to win it all.
I win a championship,
Compete for a championship.
and I'm liking what I feel right now.
What's up, Brooklyn? Sacrifice. I'm embracing this opportunity, and I'm looking forward to it, to win again, to win it all.
Nets on Yes.
With so many new faces on their roster, building team chemistry was an important theme for the Nets throughout training camp. And what better way to achieve that than hit the road together? At the beginning of October, the team packed up and headed south to Durham, North Carolina, where they held camp at Duke University.
You know, we've been anxious. I think everybody's been anxious to start the season. Everybody's been excited about, you know, the season and just getting everybody out on the court. And now it's here. And so it felt really good to get out there today and everybody have fun.
Oh, it's great. You know, great to get back to the basketball pressure. I think we're doing pretty good. Everybody on the same page. You know, right now it's a lot of things about learning, and we're learning together. Even though we're veterans, a lot of veterans in the team, but still we need to find that glue. To kind of get us around and offense, defense. But I think we're doing a pretty good job as a team.
Everybody going hard, first group, second group, third group. Coaches are very into it, all of them. Everybody's just on the same page. Nobody not on the same page. And whatever people don't know, everybody asking questions, and coaches definitely letting everybody answer it for them and stuff like that, and letting everybody have their input. So it's great.
With two-a-day practices and plenty of sprints, Nets training camp redefined the term hard work.
He's pushing us. He's doing a lot of sprints. He's doing a lot of up and down. He's getting us prepared for a long season. You know what I mean? It's hard, but it's going to pay off.
Just getting in game shape, you know, and then, Jason seems like he likes to run guys too, so it feels like I'm back in Hell Week.
You love to hate it. I mean, it's an even balance. You love it because you haven't done anything all summer, And it's a time to get back with the guys, fellowship, and get going and understand that our ultimate goal is to win the championship, and that this is just one step along the way. So you're loving in that, right? You hate the fact that you're waking up 9 in the morning, getting after it, going to sleep, waking back up at 6 and going after it again. So that's the only thing. And being away from your family, being away from the kids, obviously. But other than that, again, love to hate it.
Being away from home was a great opportunity for the team to spend more time together, developing stronger bonds on and off the court.
Teams always grow together on the road, you're with each other, it's your family. And so, in a situation like this, it's, it's what happens. We're having a good time.
It takes you out of your environment, and now you're almost have to kind of get along and talk and communicate, which is a big part of it for us this year. We're going to have to communicate. A lot of these guys are new and don't know each other. So this experience that we're having out here in Duke helps in that process.
The one thing I knew once we got to Brooklyn and we had the Barclays Center, and if we could get a team where we had a good team, then I knew players would want to come. And so that's what started to happen. Like once we had Cajun, and then Karolinko was like, hey, I can have a chance to win a championship. Then Allen Anderson, hey, I want, so it became a lot smoother and easier. And so now I think we're in a position that all we got to do now is perform on the court, produce, and win, because our building sells itself. And now being in Brooklyn, it was sort of a magical ride last year when we did the logo, opened the building, the team, even getting into the playoffs in the Game 7. Now to have this team as an encore is pretty special. You look at them, they've all made a lot of money, and so the next thing for them is to win. KG's won it, Paul's won it, and Jason both have won it. So now the only thing they're playing for is to win. And the biggest thing is that we've got a lot of guys that are unselfish. Here, we've got a lot of guys that individually have had a lot of great success. And so now their only thing they can think of is team.
During training camp at Duke, we spoke with one of the school's most distinguished alumni, Nets general manager Billy King, who won a National Defensive Player of the Year award as a member of the Blue Devils. King showed us around the beautiful campus, reliving some fond memories and discussing his thoughts for the Nets' upcoming season. So you always joke with the media, and you're not joking that this is the best university in America, but why do you feel that way when you come back here? Think about your time here.
Well, I think it's a community. If you look around campus and the buildings, and once you come here, you become part of the community. And there's people that you're going to be in the dorm room that you're going to, know later in life, because it's such a small school, only 6,000 students. So you get to know them. If you see somebody freshman your first day, you're going to see them the second day, you're going to see them the third day. So, then we're all just very proud of the fact that we were here and we friends, but to me, it's just campus is family.
Does that rub off, do you think, on your players? Is that part of the reason why you wanted them here, just that family atmosphere?
Well, I wanted them here because, one, I think it's a good environment. They have good facilities and close proximity to the hotel. And I think a little bit of having Coach K talk to them about what it's like, because you see the banners of the championship. And it is a little special place. Not that I'm bragging.
So we're standing here in front of your freshman dorm.
Yes.
What would you tell 18-year-old Billy King that you had to learn the tough way when you first got here?
I don't know. I think it was just don't be scared, because you drop you off and you're in this dorm. Your roommate plays on the team, but you just met him as well. So I think the first night I just went walking down the hall, just say hi to people.
Everyone, meet everyone. You brag on your university a lot. You don't brag on yourself very often, but National Defensive Player of the Year, we see this elite class, elite group. You're, of course, on the wall. What do you think about knowing that you achieved that and the goal that you set for yourself during those years?
Well, because coming in, I wasn't thinking defense, but getting here and realizing that's something that helped me, and to be with this group of players, it's pretty special.
And 2 Final Fours. You look at this picture of a young Billy King, What goes through your mind thinking about those moments and those times?
I need to work out. No, you know, I see George Bergen, and somebody that was a teammate, and you think back to, you know, cutting down the net, being your senior year. It's something that now, 25, 26 years later, you can, you know, at that time you think, when I get older, I'll be able to say, I can tell somebody I did that. So now that's what I'm thinking about.
Head into this season, and you've talked about it, Jason Kidd, just about the emphasis for this team on defense. Why do you think that they, being a defensive guy yourself, can be an elite defensive team in the league?
Well, if they all buy in and realize as a team, there's not one player on our roster that's going to stop LeBron, but if 5 guys go at it, they can stop him. So that's why I believe that, you know, Kevin's won with defense, Paul's won with defense, so they know what's going to take, and our guys are, hey, we're going to listen to these guys because they've done it.
Just ahead, we watch the Nets at work during practice, and you'll be able to hear exactly.
Beginning, it was just the unknown, so I was very uncomfortable. You know, one, to hear the name coach, and so for me, it was just a process of going through the steps, getting a staff, and a staff that understood what it meant to be a coach and how to teach. You know, I needed someone that can teach me, and so the process has gotten better. I've been more comfortable as time goes on, and so I wouldn't say night and day, but I feel very comfortable hearing the name coach or now being a coach. When you're called a player coach on the floor, you have the ball, and so you can kind of, you know, dictate the outcome. Well, there is no ball, so I have to trust, you know, what I'm telling the players that is right, and I'm trying to put those guys in a position to be successful. But you know, the biggest thing is, you know, being a coach is I respect their time, and you know, I want to be honest at all times, and I want the best for my guys, and so maybe in that way it's still the same, but it's a little different.
The NBA's regular season is an 82-game grind, one in which even the most talented teams will face tough challenges. The Brooklyn Nets built their foundation for the road ahead during training camp with 2-a-day practices focused on developing chemistry and emphasizing a strong defensive mindset. Our YES Network cameras had an all-access pass for practice with head coach Jason Kidd, wired for sound.
Gotta push yourself. Push each other. This is how we're going to become a championship team. So let's go. Box out! Go get him, Kay. Go, 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 go. Wait for him. Oh, good pass.
The way we have practice set up, it was a lot of teaching, Al Frank and Welsh. And again, I popped in when I saw something.
And he's running here. Joe's going to run here. Yeah, correct. You're not coming up the middle. When you go set it, go straight. Go to the slot. To the slot.
He's pushing us. He's definitely hard on, you know, the younger guys. He's trying to push everybody to the best of their ability.
We have so many guys who are unselfish, you know, that will find you. So.
Right. Just gonna make yourself available.
Yes, that's it.
I'm learning from so many different people at all times, and it's great for me. I couldn't be more thrilled. It's a great situation for myself.
When you were going back, the ball was coming to you. It's going to be a turnover. So it's all right to be slow.
Yesterday.
Yes, slower is better. Late is better right now.
Okay.
It's been a lot of learning. The game is a lot different, but we have the people that you want to learn from.
Oh, good pass. Good pass, good pass.
He's very motivated, and so we are. You know, a lot of guys came here with a one idea, you know, and we're trying to get on the same page, and I think Jason brings a lot of motivation in our heads and kind of make us motivate ourselves rather than just motivate from outside.
Start it back, do it again. Good pass. Shot.
He just has such a calm demeanor and disposition, so where he, you know, he picks and chooses the right spots to kind of talk to guys and, you know, kind of put his input and his stamp on things.
Right, so you can throw it on the same side. Right.
It's not open. I want to hit
Paul.
I want to hit Paul. You know, he goes around and he talks to guys individually and he picks his spot.
Up top with this group right now. Give me a play. Give me any play, point guard, up top. Ball's up top.
I like it, and you know, I think guys are kind of getting used to it.
And it doesn't really matter. I'm a rookie or veteran, as I said. you have to learn, you have to adjust the system and understand what the coach wants from us.
Give me another play, different play.
Honestly, it hasn't really been too much of a difference. I mean, the same demeanor, the same character that he's had as a player is what he's shown out here every day as a coach.
Because if he's denied, you got to come back and play with him, right?
Now, there was a moment today where, you know, it was like, okay, guys, we need to pick it up a little bit. We need to focus. But it wasn't yelling. It was just like he did as a player. It was stern. It was straight to the point, and guys listened.
You can't let the little guys come in and score, right? Got to see the ball.
It's just about me being able to help the guys when I see something as the coach, you know, good or bad, let the guys know.
Sean can't be responsible right here getting beat, right? Not just you, it's the whole team. 1, 2, 3. All in. Good
job. Good work, bro.
While Jason Kidd will miss the first 2 games of the season due to a suspension by the league, he's excited to embark on his professional coaching career on November 3rd against the Orlando Magic. When we return, the spotlight shines on 2 of the greatest players in NBA history, Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. Credentials. And although the trade to Brooklyn was a bit of a shock to the veterans, they've embraced the opportunity with open arms. Pierce's size and ability will offer plenty of versatility for Jason Kidd and his staff to create mismatches, while KG's leadership and intensity will certainly serve as inspiration for his teammates.
Though the trade will not be official until July 10th, reports have Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Jason Terry coming to Brooklyn.
The night of the draft, once we got to the point, they agreed, we agreed. I said, now it's up to you, Jason, and Darren, because Darren happened to be in the room. I said, now it's up to you guys to get a hold of KG and get it done.
I was expecting to, just watch them draft a couple players in the draft. And instead, it turned into this big blockbuster deal.
They started texting and calling and texting, and this is in the middle. I'm in the war room working on the draft, and eventually Jason says, all right, he's all in.
Once I got the facts and the components of everything that was going on and everybody that was involved, then I started to make some of the decisions based on that.
We talked for about 45 minutes, an hour, just trying to figure out what was best for him, because to be honest, he was really contemplating retiring.
I had other options, obviously scenarios that I wanted to see what the best scenario for me and my family was going to be.
I was just trying to convince him, like, look, you got too much left in the tank. You're still respected in the league. You still give too much to the game. You can't walk away right now.
And then once I talked to Paul and Jet, kind of got like understanding what parties were doing, and I made a decision.
He agreed with me, like, this could be the move.
My phone just started blowing up. People were like, hey, you just got KG and Paul Pierce on your team and everything. And I was like, whatever, don't lie to me. Why would you say that?
I heard about it, it was a rumor. And I didn't get too excited because, I know how rumors can be at times. Once I started seeing it on ESPN and all that, I was like, man, this may really happen. When it became official, man, that's big, that's huge.
I knew I was getting 3 guys that, knew how to win, and that was going to change the identity of this team.
We definitely improved when we made that trade.
Hello, Brooklyn, and welcome to another momentous press conference in the history of the Nets franchise. On the stage, our newest Nets, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Jason Terry.
All the variables are here for it to be something great. Now we just got to make it into that. Guys got to get in the kitchen, and we got to see what this can be and start the shape of what we're going to be for the year.
It's like when you make that special dish, you got the family over, you have all the ingredients right there. But the outcome is how you mix those ingredients and put them together.
On paper, we look like a great team. But, still things have to be worked out.
How amazing it is to have winners like that and like Jet that Billy was able to help the team in that regard and pull that off. It just makes the team we had last year that much better.
If you look at our makeup, Hall of Fame coach, 2 Hall of Fame players in Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, some great all-stars in Joe Johnson, Darren Williams, Brooke Lopez, and then you have your role players like myself, Andre Karolinko, Reggie Evans, and some good young talent also. You mix all that together and the chemistry is there. And so it's good on paper, it looks great, but now we have to go put that work in. We know it's a journey, but at the end of that journey, hopefully the trophy will be what we get.
Mason Plumlee is headed for a reserve role in his rookie year, and he'll be joined on the bench by a group of talented veterans that will give Brooklyn plenty of depth. Before we go to break, we find out more about some new additions to the Nets roster. During the offseason, the Nets strengthened their bench with the addition of veterans, all-star Andre Karolinko and NBA champion Jason Terry.
First call was from KG. He was like, "It looks like we're out of there." And I said, "As long as I'm going with you, I'm cool." For me, you know, it's another chapter in my life. Being able to come here to Brooklyn, to be able to put this uniform on and represent something greater than myself, it's an honor. Been very blessed and fortunate to play with some great organizations, Atlanta, Dallas, Boston, and now here in Brooklyn. And I think it's a new start, it's a new beginning, and the goal is clear. We are here to win a championship.
Karolinko with a hoop, left hand. Oh, that is nifty, Andre Karolinko.
It was kind of easy decision when blockbuster trade happened and Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Jason Terry ended up in Brooklyn. This year, finally, you know, I think Brooklyn built a team which is potentially can win the title, and I think it was a time when, you know, I can really be here and you know, be part of this history. And of course, another reason is Brooklyn trying to be a global brand, but global brand with the home in Russia. And you know, I can't miss that opportunity. I'm the Russian player and I have to be there.
Following that, the team also signed backup point guard Sean Livingston and swingman Alan Anderson.
All our teams was like, you know, we'll wait. You know, we like you a lot. But we want to see, you know, if there's other guys around. But the Nets was like, nah, we trying to win this year. And a team like that, you know, they want to have a starting five, they want a bench, they want the coach staff, they want everything. I played everywhere, so I mean, when somebody wants you, you gotta go where you want it. So I mean, that's where my gut feeling, my heart was at the most.
Livingston to the hoop. Sean Livingston showing he still has some lift.
The whole buzz of creating a championship team, contender, it was a no-brainer for me. I've only been to the playoffs once in my career. You know, I haven't been there since after my injury. And, you know, for this opportunity for me to, you know, play with the contender and, you know, continue to learn at this stage in my career is crucial. So it was a no-brainer.
Guys have to understand and know the role. It will be Jason Kidd's job to appoint those certain roles. Once guys buy in, that's when it becomes special. And I think when you have a group like we have with veteran guys that have been around that understand that it's all about sacrifice, it's all about the team. What can you do to help your team? And I think when you understand that, then you realize that it's bigger than you, and it's all about winning a championship.
LB. Contact your service provider or go to nba.com/leaguepass.
Welcome back to Nets 2013 Championship Dreams, joined by a very special guest, our analyst Jim Spinarkle. And we're going to take a brief look at the Eastern Conference. Who else do we start with but the defending champs, the Miami Heat? What can teams do to try and knock these guys off the top?
Well, I think the first thing, Sarah, when you think about last year with the Heat, they ran into the Spurs, who they just barely beat. Getting through that Game 6 was a very important game for them, obviously, with Ray Allen's big shot. And then you had the Pacers that gave them a real tough series. So I think the first thing that's going to have to factor into the Miami Heat is I think that there are teams out there that believe that they can beat the Miami Heat. So I think when you look at them, I think one of their strengths is that they've been able to rely on LeBron James and his ability to win games and lead them. So I think that combination will be interesting to see how they deal with the fact that they think that maybe some teams believe that they can beat them.
All right, you mentioned them. Indiana Pacers
Right.
take the Heat to Game 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals. You look at this Pacers lineup with Danny Granger coming back. I mean, what is it about this team that you think can make them so potent this year?
I think the fact that you start talking about their players like a Roy Hibbert, David West, and guys like that, and then all of a sudden you think, well, then you add Danny Granger to the mix. This team played very well last year. I think Hibbert really established himself in the middle of the pack in terms of real good defensive center, a guy who at least, even though defensively sometimes he makes mistakes, he's still big, at over 7 feet 2 inches tall, big guy who just clogs up the lane. So I think overall when you're looking at the Pacers, I think it's a team that believes in themselves. I think their MO is defensive intensity. I think they'll pick up if Danny Granger is healthy. They'll add some point production at the offensive end. And when you think of Paul George as a player, I think that he has really elevated himself in a short period of time. He took advantage of Danny Granger and his injury and became one of the better players in this league. So they're kind of heading in the direction with that intensity, that defensive soundness that they play, and the belief, and coming off the experience of last year against the Heat. I think that's a team that's going to be reckoned with in the East.
Moving on, Chicago Bulls,
Right.
The team that, of course, knocked the Nets out of the playoffs at home. What type of revenge factor do you see between these two teams and the type of matchup we're going to see in terms of intensity?
I think the intensity level will continue to maintain itself in terms of what we saw last year with the Nets and the Bulls. I think obviously we talk about what the Bulls did and really an overachieving team. And I think from their standpoint, their coach's standpoint, defense is basically their lead ingredient to make them a very good team. And that's what they did to the Nets last year. When you think about it in the playoffs, they just wore the Nets down because they never went away. They were there all the time. Now we have to kind of mention a guy named Derrick Rose, right? Everybody's thinking about Derrick Rose. Sounds like he's healthy right now. One preseason game, everybody's saying point production not there, but nobody's worried about that. They're worried about whether Derrick Rose is moving with his speed, strength, and the style that Derrick Rose can play with.
Intense matchup between the Nets and the Bulls. Now crank that up a notch. The New York Knicks.
Yes.
It's a team that the Nets have gotten the guy from the Knicks last year, Jason Kidd. He had such an integral leadership role for that team. Who do you see personnel-wise from the Knicks team that's going to step up and take over with that?
Well, I know for a fact that no one's going to be able to do what Jason Kidd did. I mean, from his years of playing basketball and the respect and the leadership ability that he had on the floor, and even as a soft-spoken type leader, that was still the understanding that Jason Kidd knew exactly what he was doing on the floor at all times, and when he spoke in the locker room, they listened to him. I'm not sure the Knicks have somebody, and I know for a fact they're not going to be able to say, okay, you become the new Jason Kidd in terms of a player on that team. Obviously, I think that's going to be a huge benefit for the Nets in terms of having him as a coach. But when you look at it, I think the role kind of falls to Carmelo Anthony, but I'm not so sure he's cut out for that. He's cut out to lead them in scoring. I think the key thing for them this year is, Amari Stoudemire, you have J.R. Smith. How much of a distraction will the injury be, first of all, with Stoudemire? And J.R. Smith has been a distraction with his off-the-court problems. I'm a big believer that if you have off-the-court problems, they translate to on-the-court problems, and they become distractions, and you lose your focus points. That could very well be a problem for the Knicks this year.
You look at the new guys they pick up. They got Andrea Bargnani. I mean, what will he add to this team? What does Metta World Peace add to this team? What do those guys do?
Metta World Peace is going to add that dimension of defensive effort, I think. So that will help them overall to set a tone with Shumpert in particular. You have two guys on the floor who can really D up and play tough defense. Bargnani, on the other hand, I think if you role play him like he's meant to be, you can't have him down on the blocks looking to score 20 points a night. But with Carmelo Anthony drawing double teams and just kicking the ball out to Bargnani from 17 feet out to the three-point stripe, I think you have a pretty good weapon there.
All right, jump to the Brooklyn Nets.
A
lot of changes this offseason. Let's start with the head coach. Start with Jason Kidd. What have you seen so far out of just his acclimation to that role, and what do you expect for him to bring this season?
I would be surprised if Jason Kidd isn't going to be picture perfect to be a head coach in this league based on his quality of play and the understanding of the game that he had. I think that one of the smart things was supporting him with a strong assistant coaching staff, which they did, and I think that's Jason Kidd, typical Jason Kidd in the way he played. I think the best way to describe him is he knew how to check his ego at the door. And I remember asking him years ago a question, would you rather rebound, score, or pass the basketball? And obviously, because of his unselfish play, he came back and said, I'd rather make a good pass. And I think if you think of that concept from a player's perspective, he's willing to check his ego as a player. I think it's going to translate in his personality as a coach. He's going to check his ego at the door. Bring a guy like Lawrence Frank on board who's only going to help him, a seasoned NBA veteran coach. It's not a threat to him, it's a help to him, and I think it's going to be very, very good in terms of the quality of team that he has with all the changes and the veterans on this team. I think it's going to be a great picture.
In that phrase you use, checking your ego at the
Right.
door, what does that mean not only for Jason Kidd, but this entire lineup, given the number of superstars and all-stars that they have on the roster?
Yeah, I think the key thing there is communication, and communication of roles and knowing what your roles are, but checking your egos at the door, because if you think of a 12-man roster, just to pick that, and if you look at some of these guys and take Joe Johnson, for example, you can slide Joe Johnson to the 2 guard, the shooting guard position. You can move him to the 3 position. You can also slide him at times to a 4. Darren Williams, you can play at the point. You can play him at the 2 guard. You can put him at the 3 guard. So just 2 players right there give you 6 positions on the floor. So it gives you a lot of flexibility, a lot of depth, and not only so much with the 5 players who start and the 5 players who's come off the bench, if you will, but the interchangeable parts. So that may be a positive. It may be a great characteristic of this team, but it may be the most work that Jason Kidd has to figure out.
It will be fun, that is for sure, and Jim Spinarca will be with us all season long, but you don't go anywhere. We've got much more coming up from Nets' 2013 championship dreams on the way. Moves made during the offseason by Billy King and his staff, the Brooklyn Nets are poised to become one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. They possess remarkable depth, versatility, and established leadership from the top to the bottom of the roster. The 2013-14 season holds promise for the franchise's dream of an NBA championship.
Well, that's what we play for, winning. When it's talked about at dinner, if it's talked about at practice, if it's talked about before the game, those guys talking about it in the locker room, it becomes real.
You just think about it constantly. And you don't have a choice but to think about it.
It's just a different caliber, you know what I mean? And it's a different demeanor. You can just feel it.
To come in and be a part of something special. All eyes are on you. The energy's high. I mean, a lot of expectations, you know. I mean, I'd want it this way.
Championship. So that's where my mind at, you know, just win a championship. That's the ultimate goal.
Something that, you know, we're going to work on every day is, you know, understanding that it is a process, but our ultimate goal is to win a championship.
You know, that's what it's all about. And we know it's a journey, but at the end of that journey, hopefully the trophy will be what we get.
Looking back on those days when we were in the Izod Center and we won 12 games, you know, it was tough. So to see the transition from now, the guys we have on the team, the players we have on the team, and the unity and passion our guys have is so special to me. And, you know, it's something you absolutely can't take for granted.
Just to keep it all the way real, that's one of the reasons I came here. You know, this roster, that spot has endless potential to it.
You know, as a collective group, we definitely have a chance, and that's really all you can hope for. What we choose to do with that chance is up to us. You know, how hard we come and work every day, and you know how we react after a tough loss or a 2-game losing streak, 3-game losing streak. How we bounce back from those type of things, those situations.
And the veterans we have, and additions to, you know, obviously Jet, Paul, and myself coming with, you know, the nucleus in which is already here. Man.
It feels like we have a chance. It's not going to be easy. You know, there's a lot of factors, a lot of luck that's going to need to take place. But, you know, I feel like with the guys we have a chance.
If you look at our makeup, our Hall of Fame coach, 2 Hall of Fame players in Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, some great all-stars in Joe Johnson, Darren Williams, Brook Lopez, and then you have your role players like myself, Andre Karolinko, Reggie Evans, and some good young talent also. You mix all that together, and the chemistry is there.
Definitely, without a doubt, all the ingredients are there. It's like when you make that special dish, you got the family over, you have all the ingredients right there. But the outcome is how you mix those ingredients and put them together is going to tell you if the people like what you're serving. We have all the ingredients. It's up to us to put together the great recipe.
I can't see any other team that's more complete than we are.
All the variables are here for it to be something great. Now we're just going to make it into that.
That concludes our preseason special, Nets 2013 Championship Dreams. For the most up-to-date news regarding the Nets, along with all kinds of additional content, visit us online throughout the year at yesnetwork.com.